Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share with you a clip from a recent live event. Myself and Gathering the Magic are going to be talking about the new monster C-Wreck. We're going to talk about how great it is, why we like it. We're going to talk about how it's going to impact the modern, particularly as Untamed rolls out of the modern, and then that starts a conversation around some of the summoners that are going to leave and how the modern is going to evolve. So if that sounds interesting, stick around and stay tuned. If you want to be present for these live events when they're recorded, check out my members page and consider subscribing and supporting the channel at whatever level makes sense. And then you'll have access to these weekly live events, plus a lot of members only content. Thank you very much. I hope you have an amazing day. God bless. Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Hanging out with Gathering the Magic. Hope you're doing well today, and we're going to be talking about Splinterlands, Splinterforge, probably SPS, Land 1.5, who knows what else, but it's there's a lot of interesting things, including a new airdrop card, Gathering, that looks pretty awesome. I covered it. I think most people covered it. You've definitely seen it. I don't know if you did a video about it, but it's a nice new legendary airdrop. Hey, makes me want more Riftwatcher packs. What about you?
Yeah, definitely. I saw that card, and the first thing I thought about is, wow, this is going to be a very powerful card. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Kraken, but at the highest level, when it gets that Amplify, that thing is just very, very deadly. So it makes me really want to get some more Riftwatcher packs and hang on to them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of curious, too, how many are actually going to be able to be in circulation. As many packs as they're burning per day, there still aren't a lot of packs being sold off the market. And there's really not that many people holding packs. So I think these airdrop cards are going to be, very, very low printed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What they would be, I've thought this through before with Chaos Legion when we burned Chaos Legion packs, but I guess I want you to help me work through mentally. So with Rift Watchers, we have many legendary cards, some of which were there when the pack was released, others of which were released as airdrops. And so the ones that were there inside the pack from day one have been being printed since day one. And then some of those airdrops were released whenever they were released, with a vision that they would reach like the equity, I think, the same amount of print rate as the other legendaries, I believe. Stop me if I'm wrong. But then they won't get there because they don't have enough packs now, right? Every pack they delete is deleting another pack that has a higher probability of dropping, an Osher Constantia or a Cane Haste or an Ancient Redwood, or now or soon this C-Wreck, right? Like, so that what you're saying is there will be fewer C-Wrecks than there are, for instance, Coral Lurkers. Is that right? Coral Lurker, the one with the dodge and the phase and the big hit points?
Yep. Every time they release a new airdrop, that adds another legendary to the pool of cards you could get when you get a legendary card.
Okay.
So each one has a smaller and smaller percentage chance. So the very last airdrop they have is going to have the hardest chance of getting it because there's that many more airdrops, legendaries that you could pull. Plus, it's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So by that point, how many packs have been opened? How many packs have been burned? So that is going to be by far the rarest airdrop card, and it's going to be one to watch. I mean, I'm not sure which Splinter will be the last one.
Let's take a
fire.
Look at this. Okay, so first of all, we got Dragon, we got Death, Earth, Water. This looks like fire. It looks like he's got flames inside of him, and then that would leave what? Life.
Life.
And he does look armored, so that could be like life is often armor. Could be. It could throw you for a loop and surprise us, but that does look like fire within his body on this guy here.
Mm-hmm. So the life airdrop is going to be the one to watch. If that ends up being a powerful card, it will by default be the least printed card because it's the last one and it's going to be the hardest one to pull, even if you do hold packs.
Yeah.
In the beginning you had what, a 1 in 7 chance to get a specific legendary. Now it's going to be what, 1 in 13?
And the number is like a little more complicated, right? Isn't it? Because I'm so bad with math, but as I struggle to understand this topic, it seems like it's not just 1 in 13 exactly, because there are fewer, like most of the Osher Constantias that will exist do already exist, have already been opened, versus none of the C-Rex do. And so isn't it more like, do you know what I mean? Like you have a
Oh,
disproportionate,
I see what you're saying.
I think.
I don't think they do it that way. I don't
Okay.
think they have like a set amount, like there's going to be like 5,000 printed. I think it's simply if it's available in the set, it has an equal chance among all
Okay.
the legendaries.
Okay. Yeah.
So the very first airdrop card will have the most, and then as you go along, there's going to be fewer and fewer of each one.
Mm. So, but I mean, definitely, there's going to be fewer and fewer packs, and the requirement to get the guaranteed drops on these guys get bigger and bigger. So it's 250 for the C-Rec, but then when we get over to this one, whatever he's called, you actually need 300 packs to get a guarantee one, which should exacerbate this point you're talking about, like meaning there will be fewer copies put in your hands because you need even more. Not only are there fewer packs left to open that can produce that card, there's also you need more and more to have gotten the free airdrop. So yeah, I do think you're going to see a substantial supply differential between this guy and oh sure, and that should speak to price, I would think. Yeah.
I did a video several months ago kind of breaking down as best as I could the print run for all the different rarities. And that was when there was, I was assuming there was going to be 3 million packs available. And
Hmm.
the numbers were just incredibly low. I think for the legendaries, there would be roughly between 20 and 25,000 BCX of each legendary card. Well, now you can divide that at least in half.
Hmm.
Because I think between the burn and what's, going to be sold, you're going to burn probably at least half the packs. So now you
Yeah.
can divide all those in half. Gold foil legendaries, I think there would be between 2 to 300 of each.
Hmm.
Okay, now you're probably going to be 150, maybe 200 gold foils. Now you're looking at kind of untamed gold foil numbers there, and you know how some of the
Yeah.
untamed gold foil legendaries
Whoa.
are in price.
Whoa. You're
I'm
making
not
me.
saying they're going to be as powerful as Kitty,
Yeah.
but even if it ends up half the price of Kitty, you're looking at a $1,500 card to max it out. That would not surprise me.
You're making my mouth water a little bit because um, not only like your that math is it sounds appropriate, but then also uh, I lost my train of thought. The you were talking about, you were saying like, okay, I'm not saying it's going to be a comparable with like a Kitty, and I get you. You're right. Like Kitty is. I think still Kitty is in her league all to her own. But the fact that modern has become the human experience, the anti-bot place to play, and the fact that the rewards have gone, I think that's going to be a path for all of our new players. One, because bots are very frustrating. Two, it's got less requirements, financial requirements, to start to achieve the same highest level of success. Just because you need fewer cards, you don't have to have alpha, beta, promo, etc. And as a result, I think the movement of Untamed out of modern is going to mean that the importance or the comparables of Kitty or even what's his name, Yodin, to some of these amazing legendaries, that it stops happening in some respect for a larger audience of our game. And so I think there's room to start to get pretty, let's say, bullish about some of these cards as some of those so some competitors move away. Summoners maybe more so, right? But the summoners, they're not like these are like kind of laughed at a little bit, aren't they? Like, dude, does anybody
Hmm.
talk Ilthane? People take pretty seriously. Do you run any of these very regularly? If so, do you see a lot of success with them? Which ones are your favorites today?
No, really the only one that I've ever used is Ilthane. I've used it from time to time, like in the Return Fire, or archery only rule sets.
Mhm.
When I was starting my new series on Splinterforge, the Common Hero, and didn't have access to a lot of cards, I did use Ilthane simply for the +1 speed. The speed is huge in Splinterforge, so I'd usually run with Kelia and Ilthane.
Mm.
But the other summoners, no, I really haven't used at all. I think that's really the only weak point, at least for me, for Rift Watchers, is I think they could have done a little bit better job with the summoners. It's fine to give them the ability they did, but maybe give them like just one other stat to put them over the top.
Mm,
Like even, just like a +1 health or a
yeah.
-1 health and cripple, that type of thing.
Yeah.
I think that would have made Rift Watcher set probably a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
For me, it's probably about 8.5 out of 10.
And so you say that they lose marks on their summoners more than anything. You definitely love the rares. Everyone loves those rares. The epics and the
Yep.
legendaries are strong also, hey?
hmm Yep.
But
Across the board, it's a great set. Like I
yeah.
said, if there is a weak spot, it definitely is the summoners.
I
But time will tell at some point in the future, if they come out with different rule sets, different abilities, whatever, these might combo nice with cards in the future. So even though they might be not as desirable now, wait a year or two when more sets come out.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, this is the modern that I'm looking at on the screen here, including Untamed and Chaos, right? But Untamed's gonna slip out in a not like Chaos will be there for a beat longer, right? But another year probably. But even that, it's gonna just like the rotation of what modern is gives such an opportunity to see different cards have their time in the sun. Because I would agree, like for instance, Kelia is out of these rares. Kelia, at least from my data, plays the most. Is probably the most reliable. Is a strong summoner for what it is. The price is relatively inexpensive for how often you can play it. And I think
Did
it's
you ever
probably
think you would see gold summoners under $10?
mm-hmm.
That is just crazy to me how cheap a gold summoner. I mean, yes, I understand it's a rare, but still to be able to get them that cheap is just so tempting.
And then maybe I'm saying, then I probably move into as I start to look at these modern summoners and I start to see like which ones, if I was to go like top 3 that I think are the most impactful, it really is Kelia, because not because it's the best on the screen, but because it's the one that can fit in the most scenarios. It gets played the most, and that's at least as important. Like being able to play it as often as you want and need is as important as being one that wins most of its games when it plays. You want that combination, of course, but you don't. If you have a summoner that you can play once out of 100 matches and it wins when it plays, great. But if you have a summoner you can play one every other match, that's actually really important because then you can field a team. So I want to talk about these summoners because I want to see which ones are gonna like what we would say today or like our favorites, maybe top 3 or 5. And then I want to talk about because I suspect some of those are moving away. And then what's that going to make space for? So let's talk about that in a second here, Gathering. But I saw a comment come through and I just want to say shout out to Tom. Tom, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for supporting the channel. What up, Dwayne and everyone? Excited to be part of members only, even though I can only catch a few minutes today. Tom, the members only content is available to you guys all the time. So there's always that folder on the YouTube channel, and you can go back and check out the members only lives at your leisure when you're ready. And then what I often do is I'll clip parts of it, so you'll see some parts of it roll through on the main channel, but there's always parts of it that never get released, and I also try and add other stuff too. So thank you, Tom. Appreciate you, bro. I would say of the summoners, Kelia is. Do you agree with that, Gathering? That it's in the conversation, even compared to some of these legendaries, because of the nature of how often it can be played? Or what do you think about that?
Yep, definitely Kelia's number 1. Yep, I don't think there's any question about that. Just the availability of it being a rare. A lot of people don't have access to legendaries. If they don't get lucky and pull one in a pack or can't afford one. But yeah, if you can play Kelia, pretty much everyone does. So yep, definitely that's number 1.
Anything else grabbing your eyes like right now?
Thaddeus Brood.
Yeah.
Death is my favorite splinter. I play Thaddeus Brood all the time, especially if there's any rule sets that allow green to be played, because I'm always worried about going up against Magic and Obsidian. So I'm like, yep, I'm throwing in Thaddeus. That way I don't have to worry about Magic as much. So definitely my top 2 splinters are Water and Death.
I think that might be so for me as well, that Water and Death. But then I probably, Thaddeus is definitely in the conversation. It's like, if I'm going to say top 5 for me, and it might even be top 3. There's a lot of good summoners in here, but I don't necessarily own them or use them. And their price point starts to get into a place where it might deter me. Lorna Shine, I would love to have, but I don't. And I don't know. Oh, Mylor, I would love to have, but don't. Ilthane, I'm getting it. I think I might have a level 4 or 5 or something now, but I don't have it queued up. Are any of these in the conversation for you, or is it legendaries for the last?
Let's see. Well, just because I play Splinter Forge so much, I'm always using Yasik and Lily.
Mm,
So if you're playing Splinter Forge, you've got to have Yasik and Lily. Kitty, if you can afford it, but I think for Splinter Forge, Lily's even better because of the camouflage.
yep.
So.
Yeah.